quorum is present, so we may proceed. I want to thank my colleagues and our second panel of witnesses for coming this morning to continue our discussion on priorities for fiscal years 2017 and 2018. Before we start, I want to thank our House officers for their hard work and partnership with our committee during new member orientation, the transition into the 115th Congress, and especially for the incredible amount of work that went into the planning and preparation and hosting of the presidential inauguration. We understand and appreciate the incredible undertaking that it was, and we commend you for the attention to detail and the precise execution of this event by your teams. As you know, while I am not new to the committee, I do have a new role as chairman, and I look forward to learning about your priorities, your needs, and expectations for the year ahead during this hearing. As I said yesterday, we all share a common goal, and that is to serve the public, the members, and their staffs. We can only accomplish that goal if we work together. And I'm going to keep this short so we can hear from our witnesses, but I want to thank you again for appearing here today. I'd now like to recognize my colleague and ranking member of the committee, Mr. Brady, for the purpose of providing an opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for holding this hearing. I have no statement other than to thank our witnesses. I spent a fair amount of time with Paul and Phil recently, and as always, their judgment and professionalism have made this a better, safer institution. It's always good to see Karen, who is always available to our members for whatever they need. Usually it's because they lost a card or whatever, but her team is professional and gives all the members a lot of confidence in our legislative process. We're lucky to have these three working for the House. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Brady. Does any other member wish to be recognized for the purpose of an opening statement? We're honored to have yet another distinguished panel of witnesses before us. Karen Haas was sworn in as Clerk of the House of Representatives on January the 5th, 2011. This is her second appointment to this position, having previously served as the House Clerk from 2005 to 2007. Ms. Haas has a strong working knowledge of the House as she served on Capitol Hill as a legislative staffer, a floor assistant to a former speaker, and a staff director for a House committee. Paul Irving was sworn in as the Sergeant of Arms of the United States House of Representatives on January the 17th, 2012, during the second session of the 112th Congress. He is the 36th person to hold this post since 1789. Mr. Irving previously served as an Assistant Director of the U.S. Secret Service from 2001 to 2008 and served as a Special Agent with the Secret Service for 25 years. Kiko was sworn in as the Chief Administrative Officer of the House of Representatives on August 1, 2016. This is the second time Mr. Kiko is serving as the CAO. In the mid-1990s, Mr. Kiko joined the team, the then newly formed COO, and as an Associate Administrator for Procurement and Purchasing, and helped establish the Procurement Office. Mr. Kiko has a long record of dedicated service, both in the House and throughout the federal government. He has most recently served as the staff director and general counsel for 2 House committees, including this committee from 2011 to 2013. Mr. Kiko also worked in 2 other House committees and also served as chief of staff in a member's congressional office. Again, we thank each of you for being here today and to share your upcoming testimony. The committee has received your written testimony. At the appropriate time, I'll recognize you for 5 minutes to present a summary of that submission. You know how the light system works. If you have 5 minutes, when it gets to yellow, you have a minute left, and when you get to red, we just ask you to end sometime before the day's over and bring it in for a landing. The chair will now recognize Clerk of the House, Karen Haas, for 5 minutes.
Thank you. Chairman Harper, Ranking Member Brady, and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify today regarding the priorities of the Office of the Clerk for the upcoming year. My staff and I appreciate the guidance and support we receive from the committee. The primary responsibility of our office is to support the legislative process. We have just completed a successful opening to the 115th Congress, but there is much work to be done for the remainder of this fiscal year and next. We intend to continue our efforts to make the legislative process as transparent as possible, improve business practices, and look for efficiencies wherever possible. 2 ongoing major projects, our website redesign and updates to the electronic voting system, should be completed during this year. The website redesign provides legislative data in a dynamic and user-friendly approach. It has robust search capabilities, more detailed vote data, and easy access from any device. We have been testing the site with internal House customers and expect to launch early this year. The updates to the voting system include new wiring, modernized voting boxes, and internal components, as well as improvements for the visually impaired user. We anticipate testing a prototype soon and hope to deploy in August. In our continuing effort to reduce overall printing and provide timely information, we released a beta version of a revised House telephone directory website. This website makes contact information publicly available and easily accessible. We are encouraging all offices to update their individual information as they incur staffing changes. Having information that is accurate and easily accessible will help drive users from the printed version to the electronic option. Over the last several years, we have cut the number of directories printed, and we expect to see more dramatic cuts as users transition to the electronic format. We have also been busy working with our partners, including the Office of Legislative Counsel and the Government Publishing Office, on a new and unplanned project. A newly adopted House rule, known as the Comparative Print Rule, will take effect at the end of this calendar year. It requires that a document be prepared showing the changes to current law proposed by every bill, joint resolution, and amendment before they may be considered on the House floor. Although similar to the current Ramsire rule, this new rule will apply to more legislation and require quicker turnaround than the existing rule. We have been meeting regularly to understand the scope of this project and determine how best to comply with this requirement. In particular, we are trying to determine how much of the work can be automated and how much will require legal staff to ensure accuracy. At this time, we are unsure of the impact of this project will have on our project's staffing and budget. In closing, I appreciate this chance to share our upcoming priorities for the next fiscal year. All the divisions within the Office of the Clerk diligently work together every day to provide support for the legislative process and the House of Representatives. We strive to do more with less, to increase efficiencies and improve transparency, while still providing top-quality service products and information to members, staff, and the public. We enjoy our longstanding collaboration with the other House officers and look forward to continuing to work with their organizations and staff to provide support to the House community. I'm happy to answer any questions, and thank you.
Thank you very much. The chair now recognizes the House Sergeant-at-Arms, Paul Irving, for 5 minutes.
Good morning, Chairman Harper, Ranking Member Brady, and members of the committee. I appreciate the opportunity to appear before you to discuss the Sergeant-at-Arms priorities for 2018 and beyond. Before beginning, I would like to say that it is truly an honor to have the opportunity to serve this institution, and I look forward to continuing to work with you. As Sergeant-at-Arms, I'm responsible for the oversight of security matters which relate to the House of Representatives. I also serve as a member of the U.S. Capitol Police Board, which is statutorily charged with oversight of the U.S. Capitol Police, and I work with the board to support the Capitol Police in its mission to protect and serve the Capitol community. My office has been involved in a number of very important, new, and ongoing projects, which I would like to highlight. First, the House Garage Security Enhancement Project is designed to move the entire Capitol complex closer to 100% screening by bringing the House office buildings into a secure perimeter in line with the Senate office buildings and the Capitol. As you know, the first phase has been completed, staffing the Ford Garage, the Cannon, and Longworth underground garages. And the next phase of this initiative will incorporate the Rayburn Garage into the screening protocol. This will occur concurrently with the Rayburn Garage Rehabilitation Project, which will entail the build-out of selected elevator lobbies to accommodate the screening equipment and dedicating certain elevators to those screening areas. The Cannon Garage Screening Checkpoint will likewise be developed simultaneously with the Cannon renovation project. In addition to these initiatives, I've been prioritizing various security enhancements to further augment our external security posture. These projects will enhance the security coverage of the Capitol while maintaining the openness and park-like structure of the grounds. Our 2018 priorities include installing an underground alarm around the perimeter of the Capitol, bolstering the physical structure of the outer planters and the Olmsted Wall, and financing a study to upgrade the lighting on the East Plaza of the Capitol. Another exterior security initiative entails the life cycle replacement of post-9/11 physical security infrastructure requirements, such as the barriers and kiosks. Many security barriers and kiosks were installed over a decade ago and are beyond their life cycle and must be replaced. Additionally, the installation of reinforced windows is a vital part of this initiative to upgrade and strengthen the exterior facades of the House office buildings. Along with these enhancements, I've been working closely with the board and the Capitol Police to increase manpower at the most heavily used entrances throughout the Capitol complex in order to increase presence for pre-screening. A core component of this pre-screening initiative is the use of highly specialized canine teams. Within the Capitol, in addition to existing magnetometers, continued implementation of enhanced screening portals in the Capitol Visitor Center will provide an additional layer of security for the House galleries. Visitors are now able to be screened for powders, liquids, and other non-metallic objects. Finally, in partnership with the Capitol Police, my office maintains a strong, effective outreach program with member offices regarding district office security. We will continue this aggressive outreach as members are active in their districts, furthering the work of the House of Representatives. As always, I'm grateful for the unyielding support from this committee as we strive to maintain the delicate balance between implementing strong security measures while simultaneously allowing free and open access to the Capitol complex. I remain vigilant and focused on security, preparedness, striving to adhere to the strict level of fiscal responsibility entrusted to us by the Congress. I will continue to keep the committee informed of my activities and will be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The chair now recognizes Chief Administrative Officer Phil Kiko.
Chairman Harper, Ranking Member Brady, and members of the committee, I welcome the opportunity to present the CAO's current priorities. I would also like to express my appreciation for my fellow officers, Karen Haas and Paul Irving. As the committee is aware, I began my tenure on August 1st. Since then, I have had the opportunity to meet nearly every one of the more than 600 talented and dedicated employees discussing what they do. This was very productive as it enabled the receipt of direct and unfiltered information and input in an attempt to attain the pulse of the organization of the CAO. My history with an understanding of the CAO was indicated is one that dates back to the formation of the CAO organization in the mid-1990s. An examination of the CAO's current operations compared with today's needs of the House community serves as the basis for the priorities of the 115th Congress. However, the immediate priorities do not represent the complete CAO picture, only a snapshot in time. The CAO's strategic plan, cybersecurity, and customer service are three of my top immediate priorities. Led by an internal cross-functional team, the strategic planning process started in August and included input from CAO employees representing every business unit. Employing all staff surveys and solicitations for input, off-site meetings, focus groups, the strategy team spent approximately 5 months refining and developing the organization's mission and vision to convey the draft strategic plan, which was sent to the committee last week. Not unlike the original CAO charter, the new mission and vision statements focus on being an essential resource for members and staff by providing outstanding customer service. In the coming days and months, as we work to finalize and operationalize the plan, we welcome the committee and other stakeholder input. Another immediate priority is protecting the House's IT infrastructure and the data it supports. Maintaining the House's cybersecurity is critical. It's made increasingly difficult by ever-evolving cyber threats. Cyber attacks occur in varying ways, targeting the House as a whole, as well as individual network users. To successfully protect the House network and its users, a robust cybersecurity posture must be maintained. There is a constant assessment and reassessment of the House's IT infrastructure, which results in ever-evolving and updating strong countermeasures and subsequent investments. Success requires a unified front that creates a stronger, more controlled IT environment. It requires vigilance and active participation by every individual with access to the House network. And it requires strict adherence to and enforcement of current and future House information security policies. Noncompliance with these policies increases the level of threat posed to the institution as a whole, as well as members and staff individually. The CAO cannot do it alone. All the members of this committee and staff have been very supportive of our cybersecurity efforts, and we look forward to continued close collaboration. Last but not least, I want to mention customer service. Whether it's technology services provided to the DC and district offices or financial services such as processing vouchers or helping members get more bang out of their buck through the procurement team or caring for the children of members and their staff, the CAO provides a myriad of services relied upon by each member office. Providing each office with top-notch service needs to be a priority. The heart of the CAO's existence is to serve members in the House and their staff. Every day, CAO employees strive to do so. In my previous work on 4 different committees, the members' standard was perfection, or at least to strive for perfection. And that's the standard I think that should be utilized in providing services to the members of this committee and to the House. Nothing less will do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kiko. Committee members will now ask questions of the witnesses. Each member is allotted 5 minutes to question the witnesses, and I'll begin by recognizing myself for 5 minutes. Mr. Kiko, in your testimony, you described the process of formulating the CAO's strategic plan, which included input from each business unit within the organization. Can you explain briefly the steps going forward as you finalize and come up with a way to make this plan work?
Yeah, so what the process will be going forward is, and this is the similar process that was followed when the CAO was created, and a very similar process that we used when I was at the Department of Interior. But now that we've had all this input from various individuals within the CAO, we basically are going to move forward on 4 different concepts to try to nail things down with more particularity. These are customer focus, process, stewardship, and employees. For customer goals, we need to establish a baseline for customer satisfaction. Customer satisfaction is the Congress, the members, the other officers, district offices, staff, everybody that use our services, and the outside public as well. And for process, we need to take a comprehensive look at our services, including how they are used, as well as how consistent and accurate the CAO is in providing the services. Using that information, we'll try to establish target service levels that'll be consistent and accurate. For stewardship, we need to make sure that we are investing in resources that are being utilized by the House and not waste money. And for employee goals, when all the top 3 are done, we're going to start to overhaul our performance standards for all of our employees so they tie back into the concepts that I just articulated. On Thursday, we are having an all-staff discussion about the plan, and that's an all-employees meeting that we're going to roll this out. And obviously, a strategic plan is no value unless it was developed by those responsible for its execution, so we're going to have a continuous input from staff and other stakeholders. And once finalized, we want to start to operationalize the plan. And it's a 5-year strategic plan, and I hope to have most of this done by the end of 2018.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is really a question for all of you. Every Congress, each of your offices works closely with us on transition and new member orientation activities. With the majority of the transition-related activities behind us and all of the things well underway, what, in your opinions, over these last weeks went well? And are there any areas that you think that we can improve on for the experiences of the members-elect in the future? And I'll start with ladies first. I'll go with you, Ms. Haas.
Mr. Chairman, I think each cycle things continue to improve. And the one item that I found this time that I thought was extremely helpful was the focus on opening day. I'm not sure previously members had gotten a lot of information about what to expect on opening day. So when you had this session and we're providing that information, as well as you heard from some of the members directly, I think that was really a helpful addition to the program.
Mr. Irving?
Chairman, yeah, I'll echo Karen's sentiments. This year was a little more challenging during the transition than others, with the advent not only of the inauguration, which caused a lot of logistical issues in January, but also the construction, the Rayburn garage rehabilitation, and other issues that caused a couple of logistical challenges, and everyone rose to the challenge, and I appreciate the work of this committee during new member orientation, because that certainly helped with our parking and identification issues. So I think it went about as smooth as we could have expected.
Mr. Kiko?
I think there's a couple of things. With regards to the CAO, with regards to all the responsibilities we had, I do think a couple of things stand out in addition to all the effort that was put in by the staff. We did improve our role in the member-elect one-on-one briefings. I thought that was very helpful. And also we used, to a much greater extent than I've seen in the past, sharing technology so we knew exactly where every member-elect was in every part of the process. Was one of your questions improvements too?
If you've got a suggestion for improvements, we'd like to hear that as well.
All right. Well, I guess I would like to say that we're going to take a very close look at the after-action reports, and I also think that we need to expedite district office setup. I know that there's some issues with regards to the leases always being a 2-year cycle, and the leases run out and they have to be renegotiated. But we also need to figure out a way to get around that process so we can get technology in the district offices sooner. And the one other thing is there seems to be a problem with inventory that's transferring from the old office to the new office, and sometimes some of the inventory is not very good, but the members-elect still want to use it, because if they don't have it, then they don't have anything. So we got to improve that process too.
Great suggestions. Thank you. I now recognize the ranking member of the committee, Mr. Brady, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For our Sergeant Arms, I'd like to thank you. I thanked the Chief of Police last night, and I want to thank you for the great job you did in Philadelphia for the Democratic National Convention. It was done with utmost professionalism, class. Everybody raved about the job that you've done as integrating with our police force and also with the Capitol Police and no arrest. And it was a tough week. It was only 99 degrees, I think, and you guys and gals had to be out there in full uniform. Somebody's in some vest, you know. So I want to publicly thank you for the great job you did. Also, could you tell me, our offices here in this Capitol is a fortress. Is there anything we can do, you can do, or we need to do for our district offices to keep our staff and our visitors safe? Any advice?
That is the district offices are certainly a challenge because of the sheer magnitude number of offices that we have in the House in our districts. Therefore, we use a very, very aggressive outreach approach to members with security awareness training to ensure that those officers are aware of the force multiplier approach that we utilize with state and local law enforcement to assist. We aggressively reach out to all the law enforcement coordinators in the districts to ensure that they are doing everything that they can do to ensure that they abide by and use the checklist that we provide for district office security not only the office itself, the residents, but also anytime a member is out with a town hall appearance or a field hearing or any other public appearance in district, we want to be aggressive and ensure that there is adequate security. So we liaise very aggressively with local law enforcement, and as the chief noted yesterday, the Capitol Police has a very aggressive threat assessment section that will certainly reach out. We will dispatch officers to districts to conduct site security surveys if need be, and do other security assessments. So to answer your question in short, it's outreach, aggressive outreach on security awareness for each district.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, we noticed a new voting board. Anything else that we're doing to improve any other work done to be done on the House floor? I know members come up to me from time to time and want more voting boxes. I would imagine that they would probably want a voting box right in front of each one of them, but I never requested that because I think that I don't think that's that valid to have. But anything new going on our House floor?
So with the current upgrade to the EVS, excuse me, you're going to see new voting stations.
Yes.
They're going to look visually pretty similar to what we have. We are going to have LED lighting on the new voting stations. They'll also have an audio feedback for the visually impaired. But as far as additional stations, we currently don't have the ability to add, but we have built that into the new upgrades.
Thank you, thank you. Mr. Kiko, we had a lot of discussion about inventory recently, and it has been an issue that come up on our financial statements. The auditors called it significant deficiency, which I don't agree with, but what is your plan to better manage and control inventory both inside the CAO and the members' offices?
Thank you. Although we've had clean audit opinions, we've had significant deficiencies over property and equipment since fiscal year 1913, and I expect another deficiency in fiscal year 1916. So I'm sort of hoping, let me just tell you what we've done and what we need to still do. In fiscal year 2016, the CAO conducted a third annual wall-to-wall physical inventory of CAO accountable equipment and capitalized asset to develop a baseline inventory. We then established a central management business unit within the CAO to better track this equipment. Asset management is now responsible for the central receiving, management, and disposal of assets within the CAO. We just recently hired a new director that did some of this stuff with the architect of the Capitol, and we've implemented new scanner security to more efficiently capture asset information. It's my hope that, that we can have this cleared up by fiscal year 1918.
Thank you. Again, Mr. Chairman, I think we're most fortunate to have them. They have to deal with all our egos and personalities. They do it professionally with class and do an excellent job. And again, thank you for the job you do, and thank you for continuing to do it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Brady. Couldn't agree with your assessment more. And at this time, I'll recognize the Vice Chairman of the committee, Rodney Davis, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thanks to all of you. Mr. Kiko, I was a little shocked when I heard you say fiscal year 1913. I was wondering if you were here at that point in time.
I meant 2013.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, but we appreciate what you're doing, and thank you for putting up with our humor too. And I appreciate some of the comments that were made in regards to, an after-action report on looking how we can do things better. Looking at our next swearing in. Obviously, this January 2nd was different than my previous two, being a federal holiday. I hope that the committee can continue to work with the three of you through Chairman Harper to ensure that we have even a better process go forward after you get those after-action reports. Ms. Haas, you and I have talked about the upgrade to the electronic voting system. I appreciate what you're doing there, and I know that this is a kind of a follow-up to some of the previous questions, but I know that it was supposed to be done by August when we first talked. Can you let the committee know what you're doing to ensure that this process is moving ahead as quickly as possible to get toward being on schedule? And what are you doing to address the IG recommendations?
Sure. Thank you. So you're correct. We had hoped to be able to transition to the new electronic voting system last August. We did put all the wiring in during the August recess of last year, but because we're using new technology, the new microprocessors that were engaged in the testing did not meet the standards that we expect, so they had to go back and find a different microprocessor. So our vendor is still working on the prototype. We expect to have that within the next couple weeks. We have weekly telephone conference calls with our vendor to ensure that we're making progress on our effort. One of the things that's really challenging is that it's the technology that we're using is state-of-the-art technology. And with our voting system, it has to be 100%. So we're going to make sure that that testing is done completely with our vendor, and then once we receive it, we will do additional testing before we deploy. August is the ideal time to go forward with the system because we need to do all the installations on the House floor and test it fully again. So we need a several-week break for the install. So we're pushing weekly with updates from our vendor to ensure they're meeting that timeline.
What about any other IG recommendations?
So you're correct, we had a couple remaining items from the IG. As of last week, we sent them an updated memo on the outstanding items. There are 2 items that are tied into the EVS upgrade, and we are not able to make those updates until this upgrade is complete. So we have addressed all of the ones that we could at this point. The remaining 2 will be addressed as part of this next upgrade.
Thank you, thank you. Mr. Kiko, Mr. Harper actually made a wager with me that I couldn't make you laugh earlier. I won. So let's see if I can do it again. I wanted to ask you, as you know, I helped lead a review of the financial processes in the last Congress, and you and I have talked about this on occasion. How do we make it work better for our offices, and also how do we make it work better for the folks you have working for you in the Office of Finance? Do you think the Finance Office is following our recommendations that were made during that review process that you and I have talked about?
I think they are. I mean, we support the standards, and we do believe, and I've looked into this, that they provide the right amount of controls. Having said that, we would like to, I know, make some fine-tune adjustments, so we're just not chasing small dollars, you know, so we're going after the right amount. Training is still key for the staff to make sure there aren't mistakes. There's an issue with regards to, we got to make sure that there's knowledge management, that everybody understands what the regulations are, and there's consistencies. So I know that they are trying to comply, and I think there's going to be some reports, you know, on that. And in addition, we have an assessment for the Finance Office that's going to be an outside assessment that'll help tamp that down further.
When do you anticipate that assessment being brought to completion?
In September.
September? Okay. Well, thank you, and please offer our thanks to the men and women who work in that Finance Office. I know they do a great job on a daily basis.
Thank you.
I'll yield back.
Gentleman yields back. I'll now recognize Mr. Walker for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Kiko, thank you again for your time yesterday. I appreciated getting a little bit more background. Hope we can do that again. Very informative for us. Mr. Brady already touched on a little bit of where I was wanting to go, Mr. Irving, with some of the district concerns that seem to be growing. I know even our conference this morning we talked about it, and so I won't go too much in there. You did mention the law enforcement coordinator program. Could you take maybe 30 seconds and expound that a little bit more specifically? What consists of that?
Yes, we ask each district office to appoint a law enforcement coordinator who is the point of contact between the office and local law enforcement, but also to our office and the Capitol Police, and remain vigilant of any security, item or issue in a district, and ensure that they maintain liaison with local law enforcement. Let them know again if a member is going to be out and about in the district, or if they foresee anything, and likewise maintain liaison with us.
You getting member participation to the level that you feel like should be?
It's outstanding. We're over 90% now.
Wow.
There are a few here and there that we need to update, but generally speaking, we have a very, very positive response to the program.
I'm glad to hear that. And I know it's hard to speculate or predict, but if we look out over the next year or two, for a protest or for things that are happening here around the Capitol, can you talk a little bit about some of the preemptive work that you guys are doing?
Yes, absolutely. In the district, for example, the Capitol Police have a very robust threat assessment unit that looks at open source information and also works with member offices to foresee any potential demonstrations or security issues in the district. If they do foresee a demonstration or something that might be a little volatile, they'll reach out to local law enforcement for assistance. And again, if it warrants, I'll authorize Capitol Police to go to that member district as well. In town, we also have an uptick in the demonstration activity. Capitol Police does an outstanding job at demonstration management. They have a number of what they call CDU, or civil disturbance units or platoons, that are actively engaged when we foresee that we're going to have issues, and do a great job. So the key is to stay ahead of it with intelligence and with other information to ensure that we have the manpower to address it.
Under the First Amendment, we want to make sure that everybody's opportunity to protest, to speak out on things they believe in, is always protected. You did use the term civil disobedience, so you're going on record, I guess, to say that there is some kind of plan if it reaches that place, and we certainly hope it doesn't, or worse, that you guys feel confident that whatever the venue or the event, the protest or the demonstration, that we would have an adequate plan in place.
Yes, and I very much appreciate you qualifying that. It's rare, really, that we get true civil disobedience. Most people that come to the Capitol exercise their First Amendment rights in a very, very peaceful manner. The Capitol Police are very respectful of the First Amendment rights and have a very established process in place for permits and demonstrations, and we always ensure that we do the best that we can to be on the forefront of that.
Glad to hear that. I just have one other question. Can you outline the current programs and initiatives you offer to the DC staff, such as the Office Emergency Coordinator Program, in case there was an emergency, since it's a new season, new time? Just want to make sure that from an update standpoint, would you take just a second and address that?
Yes, we also continually update our Office Emergency Coordinator Program to ensure that each office here in DC has a representative that liaises with our office and also ensures that the emergency management procedures of each office is up to date, and everyone is trained and versed in emergency management procedures, such as what to do in case of a fire, what to do in case of an emergency relocation, and those sorts of items. So yes, we also have fantastic cooperation, and a very high percentage of offices also volunteer and help out.
Thank you, Mr. Irving. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'll yield back.
Thank you.
Gentleman yields back. The chair will now recognize Mr. Smith for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for our witnesses here today. Appreciate your service. Obviously, you have a very integral role in the operation of the House of Representatives, Congress in general, so I'm grateful for your service. Mr. Kiko, your testimony talks a lot about customer service and so forth, and I can certainly appreciate that. I'm glad that you highlight that. I'm just curious, have there been any current benchmarks established in terms of being able to kind of gauge where we're at now and where we might want to go in the future?
Not yet. I mean, I think that's the next step, probably within the next couple of months. We're just rolling out the strategic plan to all the offices, all the staff in the CAO on Thursday, and then they're going to look at the strategic plan, and then we're starting to establish those benchmarks soon thereafter. But we don't have anything yet, although some of the efforts, you know, that we've had in the past, like with Congressman Davis was talking about on voucher processing and those kind of things, those will fold into some of that, but we have not established any benchmarks yet.
Okay, thank you. And Ms. Haas, your testimony alludes to the changes made in past January in the rules package requiring each bill, resolution, amendment, et cetera, that comes to the House floor to have a comparative print. Is your office the lead with respect to implementing this rule change, and what steps have you taken to move forward?
Yes, I think we are taking the lead in this project, and we're working very closely with Ledge Counsel. Much of the work has to come from the Office of Ledge Counsel, but I think we have the technical expertise, but we may need to go outside to get additional assistance with the other IT projects that we already had in the pipeline. So we've been meeting weekly at this point, and we're trying to narrow down the scope of the project.
Okay, very well. Thank you. I yield back. I yield back, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
Gentleman yields back. Mr. Brady, anything else? Without objection, all members will have 5 legislative days to submit to the chair additional written questions for the witnesses, which we will forward and ask the witnesses to respond as promptly as they can, so that those answers may be made a part of the record. I just want to thank each of you for being here today. You know, this committee has oversight responsibilities, and the one word no one wants to hear is surprise. And so if there's a problem or something going on, please come to us. We're all in this together, and I appreciate your attendance today. Without objection, this hearing is adjourned.